Hello and welcome to the Playbook 11 podcast, head of the Brisbane Heat v Sydney Sixers Big Bash Clash up in Brisbane. I'm your host, Tim Williams. We're here, Playbook 11, we're here for our first Big Bash preview fixture of the summer. It's a little late coming. We've been focusing on the Australia v India test matches. We've had plenty of success through that series thus far, but we wanted to get in and have a little test of the waters of the Big Bash and hope to provide some Australian experience for the upcoming summer and the rest of the Big Bash in Australia. So what is Playbook 11 here to do? We're here to provide expert Dream 11 advice from Australian soil with our local knowledge. We know the players, the venues, the local conditions, and we're going to transfer that knowledge into Dream 11 contest to help you select your teams and hopefully win a bit of money. We'll be covering the rest of the Australia v India series, so that final test match in Sydney, along with, as I said, the Big Bash season. We're available on YouTube, Apple and Spotify if you're listening to us, or wherever you do listen to your podcast. Guys, do us a favour. If you're enjoying the channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on our social media channels, Playbook 11 on Instagram, Facebook and TikTok. Now let's get stuck into our Heat v Sixers preview, and we'll start with the predicted teams. At the Brisbane Heat, it's looking like being Tom Banton, Jimmy Pearson, Colin Munro, Nathan McSweeney, Matt Renshaw, Max Bryant, Paul Walter, Xavier Bartlett, Mitchell Swepson, Spencer Johnson, and Matt Kuhneman. The only one there that may change potentially would be is if Spencer Johnson were to miss out. He's been dealing with a really odd toe injury. The doctors have been struggling to get their heads around and work out what's going on. He's expected to play at this stage, but just keep an eye out on that one. If there were any issue to Spencer Johnson, someone like Will Prestwidge would probably come into the team for Spencer Johnson. Prestwidge, he could come in anyway as well if they're looking for another bowling option. At the moment, they've got Nathan McSweeney, who's probably their sixth bowling option. So they're a little light on if they do want to go outside of their main five bowlers. Do keep in mind as well, guys, for that last clash, Matt Renshaw was named to bat at 4, Nathan McSweeney at 5. If that does happen again and it throws you off a little bit, McSweeney actually batted at number 4 and Renshaw at 5. So don't be too put off if that does occur again. Over at the Sydney Sixers, we are looking at Josh Philippe, James Vince, Moises Enriquez, Jordan Silk, Jack Edwards. He didn't bat last time. He got injured midway through the game. There's a big watch on Jack Edwards, who is a key Dream 11 player going into this contest. Lachlan Shaw, Hayden Kerr, Ben Dwarshuis, Akeal, Hosein, Todd Murphy and Jackson Bird. Now, we know that Jack Edwards, if he is fit and available for this game, there hasn't been word just yet on whether or not he will be available, that he normally bats at number 3 for the Sydney Sixers. If he is unavailable for this fixture, I would expect, it depends which way they're going to go. They could go for another like-for-like replacement to Jack Edwards in Joel Davies, who's a really quality bowler, decent batsman as well. Or if they're looking to strengthen their batting lineup, Curtis Patterson could come straight back in there and just bat at number 3, or could even open the batting with James Vince, the centurion of the last clash, dropping down to number 3. So they've got a few options there. No real word on Jack Edwards yet, but a big watch there. And the other one, Sean Abbott, we believe that he'll be unavailable for the Sixers for this clash as he's with the Australian Test squad. Bo Webster, the all-rounder, he's been released from the Australian Test squad for the Melbourne Stars fixture in the Big Bash, but Sean Abbott at this stage isn't available. If Sean Abbott does come in and becomes available, get him in your teams. Now, I've just dropped my phone, which has the contest on it. We're back up and running. All right, guys, let's go around the grounds at the Gabba. The Gabba, the average first innings total in T20s is 159 runs. The second innings is 138 runs across the years. More recently, though, the Brisbane Heat, they scored 175 in their first innings, with 174 scored in the second innings, so plenty of runs there. It is a pretty good batting deck. I tend to favour... I always favour all-rounders and bowlers when it comes to Dream 11 contests. However, the Gabba deck, the surface, it's pretty good. There is runs in it, so opportunity for both bat and ball, but I do like, more than some other venues in Australia, the opportunity to target a few batsmen on this deck at the Gabba. It normally plays quite well. Now, guys, let's get into our team selection for this crucial Big Bash fixture. And we'll start at the wicket-keeper slot. Josh Philippe is at 8.5 crore. He's at 85% selection. Jimmy Pearson, he's at 64% selection at 8 crore. Tom Banton, the Englishman, 17% selection at 8 crore as well. Guys, I really like Tom Banton. Opened up last clash. He's in red hot form. He's come from the Abu Dhabi T10 tournament. Over at that tournament, he was the second top scorer with about 270 runs. He was in really, really good touch coming into this. Struggled in his first game. We know that, particular Englishmen, but people coming, the recruits, international recruits playing in the Big Bash, especially if they don't have much experience down here, they can struggle, the batsmen in particular, not so much the bowlers, but the batsmen and the top order batsmen. We've seen Finn Allen coming across from New Zealand. He's really struggled at the top of the order for the Scorchers this season. But the class is there with Banton. He gets a good deck, and it's 17% selection. Opening the batting, I think he's a really, really good play. So I'm going to put Tom Banton straight into my team. I'm going to avoid Jimmy Pearson. I like the Josh Philippe play. He's at 85% though, and he's pretty volatile. He's susceptible early, and he often does have single-digit scores. So I'm going to avoid him for now, but we might come back to Josh Philippe. We will move on then to the batsman in the team. Colin Munro, the New Zealand veteran at 13% ownership. Very low at 8 crore. Jordan Silk, 35% ownership at 8 crore. Marnus Lamachet, he's on there, but obviously he's with the Australian Test squad. So take his name out, Dream 11. We don't need him. Curtis Patterson, he's at 0.2% ownership. He could be a real point of difference play if he does come into this team. So keep an eye on Curtis Patterson. He's in great form in domestic Australian cricket at the moment. Max Bryant at 7 crore. He's 16% ownership. Moises Enriquez at 54% ownership at 9 crore. I've gone the wrong order there, sorry, but you get the idea. James Vince, 8.5 crore. He's 86% ownership following his century. Nathan McSweeney at 87% ownership at 8.5 crore. So, yeah, plenty of quality options there. We will start at the top and the more expensive players. I'm happy to go against Moises Enriquez. Obviously, if Jack Edwards doesn't play, and it depends who his replacement is. If it is Davies, maybe Enriquez plays up the order one spot, but happy to avoid him. James Vince, the man in form, looks a decent play. I'm happy to avoid for the time being, but keeping an eye on him, he might come in off the back of that century. So let's just give him a sec. I do like Nathan McSweeney, and the reason for that is his first game in the Big Bash after being dropped from the Australian Test side was exceptional. Plenty of runs there. He was run out in the last game for the Brisbane Heat. But most importantly, he bowled an over. I know it was only one over, but he took a wicket, and we know the class of the player and the form that he's in. Maybe not so much at Test level, but Australian domestic level. So I'm going to throw Nathan McSweeney into my team. And guys, I love Colin Munro. He missed the opening stages of the tournament, but he's on deck now. He's batting up the order as he always does. He has near enough more experience in the Big Bash than any other international player. He spent so much time with the Scorchers, with the Heat. He loves the conditions. He has big scores over here. So at 13% ownership, yes, there's a bit of a risk that he's bat only, but I just think at that ownership, a bloke who we know can hit big scores. He can go all the way. He can hit centuries. I like the play of Colin Munro, and at 8 crore, he's a pretty decent price as well. Look, I'm going to throw James Vince in for now. As I said, he's just scored a century. He's at 86% ownership. A little bit of risk there again in bat only. If we can find some more all-rounders and bowlers, I'll cut him out, but let's put him in for the time being. Now, moving on to our all-rounders, and we have Matt Renshaw at 88% ownership at 8 crore. Paul Walter, 40% ownership at 8 crore. Jack Edwards, he's 84% ownership at 8 crore. Hayden Kerr at 41% ownership, 7.5 crore. Joel Davies, less than 1% ownership at 7.5 crore. Now, the availability of Jack Edwards is big for this, isn't he? And if he does have, I think he's got a strain of some sort. Does he bat up the order? Does he lose overs? Does he even bowl? We don't know what's going to happen with Jack Edwards. I'm going to leave him out of the team for now. I think he's got probably the best Supercoach, the best role in Dream 11 for the entire contest if he's fit, but said he didn't get through that last game, so I'm worried. So I'm going to leave Jack Edwards out now. Guys, reassess this when the team comes out, and if Edwards is there and he's batting at number 3, and if the talk is, you'll be looking on Cricket Info or wherever you check your scores, what the talk is, if he's going to bowl, if he's warming up, I think put Jack Edwards in, but for now, I'm pretty concerned about that injury, and I think the big benefactor is going to be Hayden Kerr. Depends who the replacement is. Hayden Kerr could bat a spot further up the order. That being said, if it is Davies probably bats behind him anyway. So not too much probably changes there, but he's a good bowler. He got key overs in that last game for them. So I think Hayden Kerr at 41% selection is a terrific play, regardless of Jack Edwards. But if Jack Edwards does play, you can maybe tinker with going Edwards instead of Hayden Kerr, but just keep an eye out for that one. And tall Paul Walter, the Englishman, he had plenty of success in the Big Bash last season for the Heat. We know they went all the way. They won the title. This is actually the rematch of the final of last year's BBL 13 tournament. Paul Walter, he's had a slow start to the tournament, but he's still bowling his 3 to 4 overs. He's still bowling key overs in the fixture. We know his quality with the bat. He has a great role. So I think at 40% selection, people are going off a slow start to the tournament, but we know what he's capable of. So tall Paul Walter, he should be higher selected than that. So Walter is in my team. Matt Renshaw, I don't mind him, but if we're going Renshaw and if we're going Vince and we're going a few of these other bat-only guys, Nathan McSweeney, who bowled the 1 over, it becomes a little bit risky. So I'm happy to leave Renshaw out batting at number 5 as well. So don't love that role for him. In the bowling ranks, Ben Dwarshus at 9 crore. He's at 93% selection. Xavier Bartlett at 84% selection at 8.5 crore. Akeal Hosein is at 41% selection. 8 crore. That's madness. I think he's the number 1 ranked T20 bowler in the world. That blows my mind. Spencer Johnson at 77% selection. He took 4 wickets last match, and he bowled the vital death overs. I think he bowled the 18th or the 19th at 8 crore. Mitchell Swepson, 7.5 crore at 6% selection. Also a cheeky little play there. Will Prestwidge, probably not going to play, but 7.5 crore at 1.6%. And Matt Kuhneman, also a quality bowler, 6.25% selection at 7 crore. So they're your main ones there. Jackson Bird played last game at 37% selection. He's 6.5 crore. And then Todd Murphy, the spinner for the Sixers, 18% selection at 6.5 crore. He was good last fixture, Todd Murphy. Doesn't always bowl his 4 overs, is a little bit of a concern there. So I'm happy to firstly lock in Akeal Hosein. I can't believe he's only at 41%. I know he had 1 for 50 in that last fixture. They took to him a little bit on a very flat surface there, but best T20 bowler in the world. Why would you not have him in? He's absolute class. He also has experience in Australian conditions. So you add that into it as well. And yeah, I'm very surprised he's so low. Akeal Hosein comes in. I'm throwing Spencer Johnson in. Keep an eye on his availability, but he is expected to play Spencer Johnson. Moving across the list, Ben Dwarshus. He's been really good with the bat. On top of obviously his bowling exploits, his bowling key overs as well. 93% selection. Is that too high? Xavier Bartlett's 84%. There's a few options here. We've got 2 more slots to fill. I do like what Ben Dwarshus is doing. He's very high. You don't have to put him in. You really don't. If you're looking to go against him or you're struggling for point of differences in your team, look elsewhere from Ben Dwarshus. But the form that he's in, he's spearheading this attack, especially with Sean Abbott out. So I'm happy to throw Ben Dwarshus in the team. And then that leaves us with, I would like one more bowler from the Heat. And look, I'm going to go to a man who knows the conditions very well and is a massive point of difference, and it's Mitchell Swepson. He's played for Australia. He's 6% ownership. He's cheap at 7.5 crore. I like the selection of Mitchell Swepson. So let's lock in that team for this fixture. Now, guys, we move down to the all-important captaincy plays, the 2 times and the 1 times. Those players, let's have a look at our options here and at what everyone's at. I think the ones that stand out to me, like Akeal Hosein at 0.95% captaincy, he's 1.6% vice captaincy. That's very tempting. I think Paul Walter, I know he hasn't been in the best form, but he's a class cricketer. We know what he can do with bat and ball. So I don't mind the little play there. Hayden Kerr, I think, is a very cheeky one. I am going, it's dangerous, but I'm going to put the captaincy on Paul Walter. And I'm going to put the vice captaincy on Hayden Kerr. If we look at the most popular picks, it's James Vince at 24% captaincy rate. If James Vince comes out and gets out first ball, could easily happen. That's him done, and that's your contest over. Way too risky in my eyes. A few have gone to Spencer Johnson at 14% captaincy, but yeah, I'm looking at Roll and I'm looking at Walter and I'm looking at Kerr, who should bat. They will bowl. They'll bowl key overs, going right against it. But yeah, that's the way I'm leaning at this stage. And as I said, guys, the big watch will be on Jack Edwards. If he's available, if he's confirmed to play his normal role, get him in your team. He becomes very important. But yeah, as it stands, I think they're the two with the best role in the side for me, and the ones who can have plenty of success going into this contest. So the team for the contest reads: we've got Alsop and we don't have Alsop, we've got Banton there, I should say. Munro, Vince, McSweeney, Walter, Kerr, Dwarshus, Hosein, Swepson, and Johnson. Alsop is not coming near our team, so don't ignore that one, please. Guys, that is it for the Playbook 11 podcast for our first Big Bash preview of the season. We're hoping to do more of these, guys. If you do like it, as I said, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, whatever it might be. Follow us on Playbook 11 on our social media channels, on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever you are. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and good luck.